in electricity tariff as outrageous and dangerous. And later on the show, subsidy removal, naira devaluation hike ram prices as traders lament low sales. I'll be hanging out with Adewale Adeoye and Chris Kendi Wado. So if you're ready, let the hangouts start now. Thank you for staying with us. For every passion, there are lines that must not be crossed. Ibadan-based kit maker Abdullahi Adisa, popularly known as Trinity Guy, is in the police net for taking his passion beyond the limits. The Oyo State Police Command has arrested the Trinity Guy for his outrageous pranks. The offensive and various skits depicted sexualization of a female minor who was compelled to describe genitals on the skit of the skit maker. Wale, normally if I watch these skits, and some are just, outrageous, and the way they've been going about it just to create content. I'm sure Chris will tell us more about this, because all in the quest to create content, to get viewers, to get more followership, they do a lot of sometimes nasty things.
It's a very common thing in Nigeria these days, and people operate as if the internet is an ungoverned region, that there are no laws, that you can just post whatever you like.
Imagine just going out there and looking at women with wigs, removing their wigs.
Yeah, but the internet is an extension of communication, and there are rules. Every country, has its own rules that guide. So I think the Nigerian government needs to be more affirmative, because the problem is that a lot of people have access. Minors, children, once they pick the phone, they can just read anything. So we need to protect our civilization, we need to protect our culture, we need to protect our values. So we don't want to see this one as just one of those statistics in arrest. We hope that the police will pursue this case diligently and then ensure that the right things are done.
Sikian.
Yes, I've been one of those that have been, over the months, been complaining bitterly about the activities of these so-called skit makers. And in as much as the problem with us is that we copy and copy wrongly. We've seen how skits are made by other individuals across the globe, the way they go about their. You see them dancing, you see them going to malls, you see them, acting in a way and manner that does not necessarily put the life of people in danger. But the type that our people, we copy and copy wrongly. But first and foremost, I need to commend the spokesman of Nigerian police, in the person of CSP Muyiwa Adejobi, because he was the one that, he started by warning initially, when he realized that this was getting out of hand. Because if you see some of these kids, in the course of doing it, people get injured. There have been instances you go to where people are cooking food, women are cooking food, you run into the place, raise false alarm, they run away, some fall into gutter, some hot water pour on them, and all sorts. And he has been telling them that they should be very, very careful. This particular young man's own has been the worst of all, because the way and manner he goes about, and we're talking about Abdullahi Adisa, popularly known as Trinity Guy. The way and manner he goes about his own is something I don't understand. The way he started was just as you rightly mentioned, going around removing people's wigs and wearing jalabia, going around and behaving. But he took it to the next level. That was one I saw him.
Going to die?
Yes, say you are going to die. He also go as far as shooting gun or whatever he shoots that makes people believe that somebody is being attacked, and that in itself. So at times he will tell you that he wants to shoot you, he wants to kill you, that he's an armed robber, and the rest of them. And these are innocent people, because skits normally the way you do skits at times it is planned, it is arranged. You have a team. Some of the people you go to are people that you already arranged this kit with. You've already planned them. You know, you've gone around. It's just like, it's like a comedy or a play. So it's not just running into people and rest. So when this particular came, and Muyiwa Adejobi said that he needs to be arrested, and I hope this particular incident will stay as a warning to so many others who have to have, yes, they are making money, but the money you are making is at the detriment of the people and at the point of making some of this, the lives of Nigerians, especially young Nigerians, even old women. Because there was a particular one I saw, he also did, somebody he splashed water on a lady, and the next thing, he started using whip and was beating the girl. He said, go and change your clothes. Go and change your clothes. I'm sure you must have seen that.
Yes, now.
And the other ones, you see somebody.
That they will offer you money. They say, you can press your.
Let me press your. There were even some, they'll say, okay, I want to have sex with you. The person will know that there is a hidden camera somewhere. They will ask them to remove that. The lady will remove just for 50,000. It is not until she must have removed her clothes almost to her panties before you now say, oh, it's a skin. You don't do that. So I hope that this will be seen to a logical conclusion. The police in Oyo State have arrested him. I learned that he will be charged to court tomorrow. But whatever be the case, I think and I hope that will be the beginning of sanitizing this so-called skit. This is not what is allowed. And the same thing, to a large extent, we also push it more also to our comedians. Some of our comedians are taking comedy to the extreme. Somebody come, you are at a particular place, you are at a particular show, and you'll be raining abuses on an individual that came to watch your show. Paid. Somebody paid to come, and you continue raining abuses in the form of saying that it's comedy. Oh, you are this, you are that. That is not. It's like it's just like what we do as journalists. You invite me to a show, and you want to embarrass me. It is not done. So I think this should be extended also to other content producers like comedians, and even some of the movies even the movies itself, the censors board is delaying on his role. You can see some of the movies, you can see the particular movie that was made about Lagos, where Lagos was depicted as I can't remember, depicted as a very terrible place and the rest of it. Yes, that movie is supposed to have been scrutinized by the censors board, which I don't think they did. So I think this should just go across, but it is good that the police is starting this. If the relevant agencies are not doing what they are doing, then our security agency should step in.
PKO, Jide is joining us from Abuja. BKO.
Yes, Trinity is somebody that I had watched for quite some time. You know, he likes to take these ranks to the extreme. Just as, Nigerians like to copy things. There's a white man, I don't know whether it's an American, who goes into supermarkets to provoke people. He calls everyone a boy. He will tell him, boy, get me that thing. Get me that thing, you boy. And the person that is referring to is just like his age mate. And they will take exception to being called a boy. He will continue to provoke them. When they want to attack him, he will point at the camera that, it's a skit, know that. This is what our people do. Because there is so much idleness in town. There's so much, a lot of the young people have nothing to do. They go to social media to give themselves joy. They go to TikTok to see what is there. They go on Facebook to see what is there. In fact, someone told me that, look, if I do not have data, I'm finished. Because it is on social media that he can find things that will make him happy. There is joblessness in town. So some of these skits, naturally, people shouldn't even look at them twice. But anything that Trinity posts, you see hundreds of thousands of people, viewing it. And he must have made a lot of money because we see him give people as much as 200,000, 100,000, after putting them through some horror. He will now come, give them money. In this case, a little girl, you are asking the little girl to describe how your genitals what it looks like, you know. And it's a girl who naturally shouldn't even be seen in public with somebody like that who is not her parent.
Minor.
Is there describing a minor, describing how Trinity's genitalia looks like. It is extremely obscene. We've seen him flog people, but I'm tempted to believe that a lot of those kids are actually pre-planned. Person being flogged knew that it was going to happen because they also slap him. You see them slap him, he gets dirty slaps, but he will still keep coming. You know, a lot of those things are planned because from the camera angle and the expertise that the cameraman himself shows, you will know that it's not as if he's hiding behind a wall to shoot. So those people will clearly know that, okay, they are being recorded. So a lot of what he does are actually pre-planned. So the people involved know about it. You know, it's drama that we are seeing before our eyes. But even at that, to use a little girl for this kind of skit and get her to be saying the kind of things that he was saying, I think Trinity deserved the fate that has befallen him. And I'm not surprised that the police have not wasted time. They said, look, we are going to arraign him tomorrow. We see all kinds of things. Morality has collapsed in our country. We see people shoot skits that they call kiss and grab. All they do is ask women a few questions. They will tell them, can you just do 360 for the camera? The women turn around, they do 360, and then he asks the question, kiss or grab? You have to choose one. At the end of the day, before the camera, he squeezes their buttocks. I've never seen anything like this. The extent to which we are taking this kid is extremely disturbing, and there has to be a way to ensure that this thing is regulated. Anything that is obscene should not be taken to the public space. We have to find a way. How come Nigerians don't see Indians kiss themselves in movies? They know that they will go to jail. You can't kiss a woman in an Indian movie. You know, you go to jail. They don't do it. We grew up watching those Indian films, but we'll never see them. Once they get close, before the lips they touch one another, they pull back. And there was an Egyptian woman who used the banana to kind of simulate oral sex. Of course, they jailed her. But we see what this kid makers do with Cucumber and the rest of them, and they get away with it. People get away with blue murder in our country. It has to stop. I think that what the police have done with Trinity will set the right example. People will learn an exemplary lesson from this, that you can't continue to come up with these irresponsible skits. Those skits that people can learn from. And people, you will still make your money.
No, as we wrap up on this.
Rather than descend to that level of bringing a little child.
There are even some content providers that they are just out there to misinform the public.
Definitely.
They will tell you that, oh, we've seen maybe the president of Nigeria, that he has collapsed.
Yes.
That's where he is now, that he has collapsed. He will be coming back again.
If this
see the number of viewers.
If this is not nipping the bud, AI is out. Artificial intelligence. And if you see what is happening on social media now, AI, they can remove your head and put mine. They can remove that of a woman and put on yours. You saw the one they did with Pope several times, where he was playing basketball, where he was playing ball, where he was with a lady, where he was kissing a lady, and AI. And so many people believe it. And even in the US, issues are being raised on the importance of AI and some of the adverse effects you could have. In fact, President Biden raised that issue with the president of the Prime Minister of India, who just visited US a few days ago. So we have to be very, very careful. This is the time that we have to come in and make sure that we regulate some of these issues. Because, you know, most of the time, we are not as advanced, even as advanced as most of these countries of the world. Anything that our people see, they believe. Anything you see on TV, anything you see on social media, anywhere, you believe. And there's always the tendency for us to copy whatever you see. So we need to snip in the bud, because if you know the number of our children that are on social media, children as little as 5 years, 6 years are having phone. Their parents are giving them phone to take to school, and they go straight. There's no restriction on what they view and what they do. That in itself is a problem. So that is why I so much appreciate, once again, what the police is doing. And I hope that this will be able to curb some of these excesses.
Well, what it did was a violation of the Child Acts of 2023. So I think it's clearly against the law of the land, apart from violating the morality of the society.
The minor.
Yes. But I think this is not just for the police alone. You know, we also need the moral authority of the state. The, you know, Oyo State House of Assembly wants to see how they are going to intervene in this. We want to see the National Assembly, the Senate and the House of Assembly, because it's a national problem. This thing happened in Oyo State, but it's also happening all over the country. So it's going to affect generations. It's going to affect the consciousness of our younger ones. So it's a national problem that I think, you know, we need to respond to it beyond, you know, your state.
A chieftain of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Bode George, is never far from grabbing the headlines, most times for the negative reasons. George has admitted lying when he claimed that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, made a former commissioner in Lagos State its head of ICT. In an interview, the PDP chieftain said the ICT official had a similar name with the former commissioner in Lagos State and acknowledged that the similarity of the names was what prompted his erroneous judgment. Bode George, you know, casting aspersion on the election of 2023.
Well, one thing I just want to say is that, you know, when we grow old, we need to be more mindful of what we say. Younger people can speak anyhow without facts, but there's a particular age you get to that you need to ensure that whatever you say, there must be some level of truth. Because by the standard of your age, you are supposed to be a role model, you know, for the society. And also looking at the status of Bode George, a former military governor of a state, you know, and also former vice chairman of a major party in Nigeria. So you are also an authority in one way or the other. So, well, nobody is above mistakes, but when mistake continues to reoccur, you know, we give people a lot of doubts about, you know, the kind of person we are talking about. Because this is not the first time we've had, you know, sweeping statements attributed to him. During the election, he was saying, this person is not, the presidential aspirant of APC is not from Lagos and all that. And we all know that the origin of Lagos, even the person that, the first settler, Ogufuminire, came from Ile-Ife. We know there are a lot of settlers, even the George family. I'm sure if you trace that family, probably from Abeokuta also. So, but he kept on hammering on it, and I was wondering that...
No, he's the grandson of Abba.
Yeah, you know, yeah. So every family in Lagos can trace his root either to Oyo State or to Ibadan or to Osun State, you know. And himself was also the former governor of Ondo State. He never came from Ondo State, but he was governor of that state for some time. So there are some utterances that I look at and say, look, I don't expect Bode George to say this. And when you want to comment on every issue, just because you have an axe to grind with somebody, the tendency of running into landmines, you know, is always there. So, but it's a good thing that he has admitted that he made a mistake, you know, because I remember the fellow gave him a 7-day ultimatum and that he was ready to take him to court. So if you continue to make slanderous statements, you know, at one point or the other, the law may catch up with you. But I think it's good that he is able to admit his error. But I hope that this will also be a lesson for our elders. They should think deeply before, you know, they overall you know, they say anything. The Yoruba people will say that, once it falls down, it breaks. You can't put the pieces into a single hole. So I think you should be very careful in what he says because people are watching. And if you don't say the right thing, definitely you are going to diminish your own status in society.
So again, this is somebody that I respect. His interviews delight anytime. If you're a journalist, if you talk to Chief Olabode George, you know that's a very sound mind, somebody that's, you know, and in terms of experience, everything, this might just have been a slip.
Well, it's a slip too many, just as Adeoye said. It's not just a slip. If it's one slip, you can say it's a slip. But when it becomes so slippery, then it becomes an issue. Chief Olabode George, as rightly said, is a journalist delight, which is why you see him practically on every media house, every media person want to intervene, because he will always throw a bombshell that will shake the polity, whether negatively or positively. But I think, as Adeoye said, Chief Olabode George, at his age, should start chewing his words before he swallows it. That's an adage. You have to chew your words before you swallow it. If you don't chew your words before swallowing, then you can get choked. He was carried away, and that is also the problem with social media. He was carried away by certain publication in social media by certain individuals.
Yes.
Whom I don't want to name. You understand? You know very well what I'm talking about. There was an individual that was narrating this, taking this narrative to a point, and so many other people started, even the mainstream media at a point, were also publishing this thing. And it was based on that he lashed on it, and he was interviewed and he started making aspersion to that. And I remember vividly that INEC chairman and INEC spokesperson at that time, Festus Okoye, came out to debunk that there's nobody by that name with us. Talk less of the ICT. And it was very, very, very nice also then, because the head of ICT at INEC at that point was also having, I think it was posted to other Anambra states or something. There was a state it was posted there. Then it became an issue within the national interest, just some few weeks to the election. So, and because of the fact that it came from Chief Olabode George, any other person that listened to it believes it. You will believe it. And people went to town with it. So, but later it was realized that but did they come too late, too early, too late, or too late, too early? Election had come and gone. If this had come before the election, I would have said, okay, all well and good. But for him to have come at this time to say that, well, it's still a bet. The fact is that the word has been spoken, the issue has been raised, and in some climes, certain climes, maybe not Nigeria, that statement itself can put INEC in a very difficult situation. It will put them in a situation, it will malign the officers of INEC, and also malign INEC, put some level of integrity problem on INEC. If you understand what I mean. Because if you realize the problem we had during the election, now a lot of people believing that this happened will also align with certain narrative that was going on during that election. So I will only but advise Chief Olabode George and other people that have always followed this line that before you say anything about issue of national interest, try as much as well. In fact, Google is your friend. If you Google it and you'll not be able to see that news on reputable platforms, then that's what I do.
Don't wrong with this.
Don't wrong with it at all.
BKO, Atonodua is Chief Olabode George, and we know he has been at loggerhead with the president since 1999, and any opportunity to just anything to get at the president. And this might be just one of it, referring to an ICT commissioner as in INEC as a former commissioner in Lagos State.
You know, when he made those remarks, I knew he was lying. But I expected him as a man of honor to come out and open up that he made a mistake. He waited. The elections have come and gone. Inauguration has taken place. almost a month ago. We had the inauguration. He's just admitting now that it was wrong. He succeeded in fooling a lot of the gullible people who are clearly his fans. You know, he's overwhelmed by emotions. He doesn't like the president, and he has said a lot of nasty things about the president. He even promised that he would leave Nigeria should Asiwaju win. He's not the only person who has said that. But all of the people who threatened to leave Nigeria if Asiwaju wins, they have not produced the courage to follow up their promise by actually leaving our country for the rest of us who do not want to leave the country. So if you are saying that, oh, because somebody has won the election, or if somebody wins, you leave Nigeria. Now that he has won the election, have you died? What has happened to you? Because you gave the impression that his presidency will lead to mass murder. Now, how many people have died as a result of his presidency? You have not come up with the courage to honor your word by leaving the country for the rest of us. Today, he is saying that, oh, so far so good, Asiwaju has been able to do some good things, but it's not perfect yet. Yes, of course, we know it's not perfect. We thank him for even admitting that Asiwaju has done some good things so far. Or he's granted an interview to say, yeah, Asiwaju has started well. But that was a man that you try to demarcate, to try to give the impression that he will never be successful as president, that he was the worst of the pack. Now, Prophet Iginla's prophecy is coming to pass because he said the most hated man will win the election. And that with the same mouth that they condemned that most hated candidate, they are going to admit that he's doing well. So before our eyes, these things are happening. But this judge has eaten his word. He will never find the courage to leave Nigeria. He wants to remain here.
All right.
It's not the first time he would threaten that he will leave. So he's still here. We know that he will not go anywhere. So let him just verify things before going ahead to say. He said it with finality, and it was a shame that at the end of the day, it turned out to be a lie. And he did not apologize the moment he realized that he lied to his people. It's just bad.
Okay, moving on now. Corruption festers in Nigeria because most times public office holders find it difficult to let go. The perks of office, Governor Francis Nwafuru of Ebonyi State has ordered the commissioners who served under the immediate past administration of David Umahi to vacate the commissioners' quarters in Abakaliki within 2 weeks. In a statement signed by the secretary to the state government, Professor Grace Umezurike, the governor said they have until July 6 to leave in order to facilitate relocation of the quarters to the new commissioners, reallocation of the quarters to the new commissioners. What's this about? No, wanted to let go.
Well,
you finished serving the administration.
Yes, I believe
ended effectively May 29.
I believe the state governor, is running out of patience because it's almost 1 month now. Probably had waited.
Before that time, they are meant to have even vacated.
They are meant to have, to have left. So, I believe he must have waited, hoping that they will be reasonable enough to realize that there was no point for them staying 1 day, more than, May 29. I actually expected them to have left that, office and then to have vacated their accommodation allocated to them. Because when you become a commissioner in any state, the first thing is that they give you furniture allowance, which is enough for you to secure accommodation for the next 4 years. And after that, at the end of the first 4 years, they give you surveillance package. It's, almost by convention. So I believe...
Talking like from an insider point of view.
I believe most of these commissioners, if not all, have received their entitlement. We are also aware that the state government, the House of Assembly, approved, exit package for political aids. We read it in the paper, I think about 1.6 billion or so. I'm not sure about that figure now. And with all these packages, I'm surprised that the commissioners are still hanging on. It's also a reflection of the kind of system we run that is too expensive. We spend so much on individuals instead of investing on public utilities. In an ordinary sense, you don't even expect state governors to be the ones that will provide accommodation for commissioners. How many state government officials in UK, a very rich country, provides accommodation for their political aides? The Prime Minister of UK lives, number 10 Downing Street. It's just a 3-bedroom flat. But here, every commissioner, every SSG, they want to live in mansions at the expense of the state government. So I think they've embarrassed themselves. I believe the governor didn't want to make this open initially, but because he just realized that they are not, forthcoming. Forthcoming. So I hope that before the expiration of this date, they will quit so that they don't further embarrass themselves.
Even the former First Lady, Aisha Buhari, at the point in time in the villa when they were waiting before May 29, he told us about the culture of moving to the glass house so that renovations and everything will happen at the main villa. And they moved to the glass house, and that she was even advocating that they sustain that tradition so that they can renovate the main house. So it's a transitional house. If by May 29, everybody has left the villa, both the president and the vice president, but state commissioners should not be thinking of overstaying beyond that May 29, except it's clearly stated that they are going to inherit that house after their tenure.
That's the self-entitlement that most public officers normally think they have. Self-entitlement. Where you were, or where you are, somebody was there before you moved in. And somebody moved out for you to move in. So are you going to stay there in perpetuality? Has it become your house? Is it your personal property? Why won't you move? And that is the question. Some of these public officers behave in a way and manner. You are talking of houses. What of the cars? What of the cars? Most of these public officers, including commissioners, ASAs, and the rest of them, the cars are attached to the office, not to the individual. That is what it's supposed to be. President Muhammadu Buhari, when he was leaving, I don't think that he took away the Air Force jets. No, let's even start with the jets, this presidential jet. No, I'm not sure he took it to Daura. He left it for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The limousines, the bulletproof limousines, I don't think he took away any. He left it for the president. The same thing with the building. And that's what it's supposed to. That is why you see that our office, that is why every year you see them budgeting, repeating budgeting for the same items. When you see them sending anything to the House of Assembly or National Assembly, they will budget for furniture today. Next year, the same furniture. Cutlery is the same. They will repeat it again. And other television, AC, and the rest of them on a yearly basis. As if in their houses they change it on a yearly basis. And that is the problem. So somebody that is a commissioner that knew that he took over a quarter, by the time the election has come and gone, is it not right? Are you saying that you don't have a house in Abakaliki to move your things to? Or where you are coming from? Maybe, let's say most of them must have come from Lagos. Some of them are living in Lagos. Are they going to stay in Abakaliki? So why don't you go back to where you are coming from? Why do you have to wait for the commission, the governor to tell you what to do? I think that is what is happening across the state, not just Ebonyi State. That most often than not, when you appoint certain officers, they will be hanging around waiting. And that is why I like remember what President Olusegun Obasanjo did? You remember vividly what he did? Where he had to sell out the monetization of those. If you are coming to Abuja, I don't think there's any, even the one that was as an APO, I think it was so to all the, it was so to every, if you are coming to Abuja now as a senator or House of Representatives, you go and rent your own building. Unlike what we had before, where we had presidential quarters at APO, too expensive to maintain, very, very expensive. So, and that's solved the problem. And they expect the same thing. I also want to believe that instead of just keeping these quarters, probably to cut down costs, I would have expected that successive governors in the state, if you are coming and you are made a commissioner, just give a particular rent, a particular amount to the commissioner. Let them rent a place of their own where they will stay for certain people for the 4 years or 2 years. At times they don't even stay up to 4 years. Some of them stay 1 year, they change them, and that's it. So I don't think that anybody needs to tell any commissioner in Borno State to do the needful by moving away as the governor ordered.
Jide, what do you make of this sit-tight syndrome by these commissioners that have refused to leave the facility, government facility?
No, what these people try to abuse is familiarity. I remember when Sullivan Chime took over as governor of Enugu State. You know, he was in the cabinet of Chimaroke Nnamdi.
Was the
along with other aides of the governor. Sullivan Chime didn't waste time. He got them evicted from the government quarters. He didn't waste time at all. And I think the new governor of Ebonyi State, who was the speaker and had an excellent relationship with the governor, must have been extremely polite in simply issuing an ultimatum. So if these people think that because of the relationship that Nwefu has with the governor, that is going to tolerate them occupying those quarters in perpetuity, then they are making a mistake. We see people fall out with their mentors. A governor helps another person to succeed him, and they fall out even within a few days, not even months. We've seen that happen. So if they think that the governor would not be able to wield the script because they were all part of the Dave Umahi family, and they are making a mistake. They should look back at what happened in Enugu State. If they do not leave, they are going to be embarrassed, and they are going to provoke the governor to the point that he's going to send them packing, possibly, in which case they could even lose some of their property. So you had your day in government, you enjoyed government, you received the benefits due to you, the entitlements due to you as somebody who served the government. Now it's time to pack your things and go home. Why are you wasting time? Why are you sitting tight? Like the president of Uganda, who claimed that anybody who spends more than 10 years in office must have overstayed his welcome. And now we can see that he has been in office since 1986 and is not prepared to leave. So these things happen. People don't want to let go some of the benefits coming to them. But you just have to go for other people to come in and use the facility. And if you don't leave, then you're asking to be embarrassed. And I'm sure the governor would not hesitate to embarrass them. We are waiting, we'll keep monitoring. We want to see when their things will be thrown out. That is, if they are not sensible enough to get out of the quarters that they are occupying currently.
I think the Governor Francis Wifuru is even being very, very polite, and you know, if going by the trend across the country, what successors are doing to their predecessors, going by what is going on in Kanu, going by what went on in Zamfara, you will know that it's been polite, serving them notice of on the 6th of July to actually vacate. When you see the destruction going on in Kano State, and we had the security official going to Matawale's house.
It's been modest, probably because they are from the same political party. And if you also consider the fact that, you know, in that state, you know, there were so many political aides. At the time, I think they had almost thousands of them. So, you know, I hope that the housing thing is not just the problem that they have. Because it's most likely, if we are saying this kind of thing, that some officials have also left with cars, computers, printers. So I would advise that state governors should do auditing, not just in Ebonyi State, not the state, so that if any government aid has taken away government property, those things should be returned because they belong to the public.
Moving on now, a common question goes thus: what is in a name? This justifies perceptions attached to names. The University of Ilorin, Unilorin, which calls itself better by far, and University of Lagos, which prides itself as the University of First Choice, as well as the Lagos State University, LASU, have emerged as the most preferred tertiary institutions chosen by candidates who sat for the 2022 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, UTME, according to the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, JAM. Unilorin ranked first with 73,749 applicants, while Unilag came second with 60,606 applicants, and LASU third with 55,964,000. Again, I think because of Lagos being the center of excellence, might have affected the choice of Unilag and Lagos State University. You know, the attention, the attraction, everything is here. But how do we want to put University of Ilorin, that I think they are known for their tradition of excellence?
Yes. Let me start with Lagos State University. You said University of Lagos better by far. University of Lagos, University of First Choice. We at LASU, we call ourselves greatest last white.
Okay.
You didn't add that, so I'm adding it for you now.
Okay.
In case you don't know.
Okay.
Because I am a product of Lagos State University. Now, the fact remains that it's not just, these are traditions. I was of the third set of Lagos State University that graduated. I graduated in 1990. So I practically knew everybody from the first set to second set to the third set. That was a tradition laid. I'm talking about LASU now. Tradition laid by former Lagos State Governor Alhaji Jakonde when he established Lagos State University. And he had a vision. If you know who Alhaji Lateef Jakonde is or was, whichever we want to put it, you know that this is a man that never joked with education. He was a man that came into office in 1979 and realized that something drastic needs to be done about the education sector in Lagos. And that was where, apart from declaring the free education policy of the UPN government in Lagos, he also established several secondary schools, because prior to that, we were having morning and afternoon session in Lagos. I remember that the first school I attended in Lagos, they called Nigerian College. I couldn't get admission to the morning session. I was going for the afternoon session, myself and my twin brother. So we were going for, but he said, no, this cannot be the case. Which is why he now established what was known as Lagos Jakonde schools, as they call them. People use the
makeshifts.
Yes, makeshift. Yes,
that time.
Yeah, that time.
No, as at that time, it was very.
We didn't care for some of us.
That sorted the problem.
Yes, and they solved that problem. And they went ahead to also establish the Lagos State University, and they kept that tradition. And over the years, that school has remained consistent. Now, coming to University of Ilorin, University of Ilorin is a very unique school, in the sense that you come to realize that there's a policy that was put in place. I think is it the current registrar of JAM, or who was the vice chancellor? I don't know, one professor that took University of Ilorin away from the mainstream.
Yes, when they left ASU. When they left ASU. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. What they did was that while other universities were going, if you go to University of Ilorin, you have a 4-year program, you finish 4 years. There's no extension. While other people go on strike, they decided not to go on strike. In fact, they had issue with their ASU at the point that several lecturers were sacked. I'm sure you remember that vividly.
40 of them.
40 of them. Some of them even died before they were reinstated. So they had that.
I was enjoying that time.
Yes. Now, University of Lagos, we know what Lagos. Yes, the cosmopolitan nature of Lagos has made it possible for you to have that rush for schools in Lagos, like University of Lagos and LASU. But you will now ask, what of that of Ilorin? That is far off. So that is, Now, it is not surprising to me, therefore, that you see so many people trying to gain admission. It is not just about Lagos. It is also about the quality of the product. AY, just a few days ago, a young lady had the best result.
5.0.
5.0.
5.0.
5.0.
Can't tap.
AY, I graduated from law last year. I know what it takes. For you to even get a 2-2, to get a 2-2 in law, you must have sweat like this. For this young lady to have got to the point at which led to the Lagos State governor not only giving her 5 million, the state government also. So it is the quality of the quality of the product and quality of education that makes people do it. So I commend the University of Ilorin, I commend the University of Lagos, I commend Lagos State University for able to push this and be able to stay the tide and remain focused on the academic essence.
Is this a reflection of the quality people get, as in the number of applicants? Like Ilorin getting 73,749, Unilag getting 60,606, and LASU getting 55,964. Is this as a result of the quality they dole out, or it's just a matter of the strategic placement of this group?
Well, I think it's a combination of many factors. If you look at that figure, it's 13,000 plus 13,749 above University of Lagos in terms of applicants' preference, and about 17,575 ahead of LASU. I think for University of Ilorin, I didn't attend the university, but I need to admit that the school is a very good school. I used to visit the old campus when I was a very young boy in those days. And I realized that the founding father of that school, even before they moved to the permanent site, I think on the way to Jeba, I think the first VC was Professor Kinkugbe. They had a very beautiful vision. Though it's a second generation university, I think established in 1975. Yeah. But today, it is far better than some universities that were established in the 1960s. I believe, first of all, we need to admit that the quality of administrators in that university is one of the major pillars of the science that we are seeing today. And also, I think the University of Ilorin has a stable academic career for students compared with most of these universities. And I also think the quality of education, University of Ilorin has produced so many brilliant people, and also the quality of educators in that institution. And I think this also applies to LASU and University of Lagos. But I also think the location of University of Ilorin, is also an advantage. You will recall that is the bridge between the west and the north. So I believe because of the crisis in the Middle Belt, you have University of Jos in Jos, and then ABU in Zaria. Most likely, most parents will prefer their students going to schools where, the city is more calm, it's more peaceful, than areas where today we have some kind of insurgency. So people who ordinarily would have wished to apply to Jos or ABU.
Would have gone to Unimade.
University in Niger State.
Yes, some people went to Unimade from Lagos.
Yes, they would have preferred to say,
because of not security.
Go to University of Ilorin. And I also think Ilorin, I've lived there before, it's an extraordinarily peaceful city. If I've ever been there before. And life is also cheap compared with the economy. You can buy food at a cheaper rate, And I think the people are also accommodating.
In fact, the last time I saw the governor, I told him that the kind of traffic in
it's a very friendly environment.
As in, Ilorin
is a beautiful city, very quiet.
So developed now.
Nice.
So I think those are some of the things that I think are responsible. Also for University of Lagos, I think there is increase in migration of people from all over the world. People moving, looking for comfort zones in terms of economic comfort, either from West African region, from northern part of the country. The population of Lagos has increased tremendously in the past years. Wherever we have crisis in the Middle Belt or even southern part of the country, southeast, people move to Lagos. So most people want their parents to go to school close to them. Apart from the fact that Unilag is also a cosmopolitan university, which established in 1965 and one of the best, in the country. Having said that, I think we must not go to sleep Because in comparative sense, comparing our universities with even universities in Africa, we are still not there. In terms of global rating, in terms of rating the Commonwealth. University of Ibadan in the 70s, when you are looking at Commonwealth rating, University of Nigeria, University of Lagos, you put them almost in the best 10. But now I don't think no university in Nigeria can ever make the first 10 universities
100
in Africa. We should also not forget to remind ourselves that when people are saying that government should not fund universities, it's a lie. Government-funded universities owned by federal government are doing well. So people are saying that, we should privatize everything. This has punctured their philosophy that government-run universities can actually, lead the pack if the right things are done.
Do you think University of Ilorin is justifiably the best university in Nigeria as a result of the number of applicants from JAM? When you want to look at schools like University of Lagos, the quantum leap, the development, the massive infrastructure compared to University of Ilorin. I know you are a product of University of Ilorin, but do you think University of Ilorin can stand shoulder to shoulder with University of Lagos?
It has in the past even stood shoulder above University of Lagos and other universities, because in the global rating of universities, Ilorin has on a number of occasions been rated the best in Nigeria. If you go down memory lane, look at the global rating, there were occasions when Ilorin was rated the best in Nigeria. There have been occasions when UNILAG was rated the best. There have been occasions when University of Ibadan was rated the best. So Ilorin has never been a pushover. And yes, the fact that the local chapter of ASU was not joining strikes for some time was a factor. But it's not the only reason, because this last strike and the one before it, University of Ilorin lecturers were part of it. They were part of it. So if we have that figure released this week, it has nothing to do with the fact that the place was known to not always join strikes. ASU and the Ilorin chapter have since resolved their differences, and they are happy to be part of ASU strikes now. So those who applied this year must have realized that indeed the longest strike, or probably one of the longest strikes in ASU history, University of the rating has always been very good. They've achieved incremental progress across the board, and it's not difficult to see why a lot of people want to go to the university. If you look at JAMB record of the last 15 years, Ilorin clearly dominates other universities in terms of the preference of JAMB candidates. It has always dominated. So this is not the first time. It has happened again and again and again. And now, no one can deny that in terms of academic excellence, that university is one of the best. When we were in school, we would see Ben Bruce, Silverbird taking events to OAU, to UNILAG, and other places. They used to make fun of us that, you people are only interested in reading, you are FICO people. So the knowledge hunting and the academic excellence is not something that started today. It's always been with the school, and some of the teachers were even people that came from the UK, from the US, back in those days. So it is the seed that was sown many years ago that has germinated now and has pushed Ilorin to the front burner as clearly one of the best universities in the country.
All right. Moving on now. The debacle between the Department of the State Services, DSS, and the detained leader of the proscribed Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, is far from over. DSS has opposed the suits by Kanu seeking to be given access to his personal physician. In the suits, Kanu is praying the courts to order the DSS to allow him unrestricted medical access, which the organization opposed and prayed the court to dismiss the matter for want of jurisdiction. Sikian, let me start from you.
I just don't know why the DSS is adamant in allowing Nnamdi Kanu's doctors access to him. Now, the court has given the go-ahead for DSS to allow his medical team to reach him to see him. And the DSS, in his wisdom, says that, oh, he's okay, he's fine, he doesn't need any external. They've gone back to the court again to ask the court for another interpretation on that. But I ask the question, if this man has his own personal physician, despite the fact that DSS has theirs, what stops them from allowing their physician? It's just like asking your family. Let me give you a classical example. During the detention of MK Abiola, even by the military then, you must have remembered Dr. Falomo.
Yeah,
all of us remember. Despite the fact that the military detained Chief MK Abiola, and they were having the military has part of the best, if not some of the best doctors in Nigeria. But you realize that often and often, the military were allowing Falomo access to him. That was the military. We are not talking of the civilian government. So why would DSS find it difficult if there's nothing? Is there anything they are hiding? Because if anything happens to Nnamdi Kanu tomorrow, they'll be held responsible. You understand what I'm trying to say? So I see no reason why they should be able to do. The court have said, allow the asset. Even if you say you don't allow the family, but the physician of an individual is like his second God. That is what it's supposed to be. So the DSS cannot convince me in its true conviction that the reason why, they have not given any genuine reason why they think that, are you saying that if the doctor, if his doctor sees him, is going to give him something, even if the doctor visits, the DSS officers will be there with the doctor. It's not like they're going to leave him. It's just for him to have a look at him, because here we have his history. Every individual has a history, and it's your doctor that have your medical history. The DSS does not, I don't think they have the medical history of, I don't think this should be something that should be a problem between the DSS and I think that just, I don't know, except there's something that we don't know that is going on.
Do you think the DSS might have their reason in terms of security implication of allowing anybody to come and touch Nnamdi Kanu, or they want to take full responsibility as the guy that has been in their custody?
Well, the detainee, Nnamdi Kanu, is not convicted yet. He's a suspect. But even if he's a prisoner, detained in prison or convicted, prisoners also have rights, even as dictated by our own constitution. The United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, there are principles that guides the rights of prisoners. In this case, an inmate is even yet to be found guilty by any court of law. He's still a suspect. I think it is wiser for the DSS to allow his physicians to see him. The argument might be whether he should be allowed to travel abroad or he should be treated here. Of course, the DSS can say, okay, let us...
Might be a flight risk.
We might say, okay, don't allow him to travel. But as far as doctors see him in a detention, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You see, it's unfortunate that the Nigerian Medical Association, I'm sorry to say, is not living up to its tradition. Because when Dr. Bekorason Kuti was in charge of NMA, it should be of concern to the Nigerian Medical Association. Every detainee, not just Kanu, Nnamdi Kanu alone. Then if we don't want this physical, private physician to go there, the NMA should, as a matter of urgency, make requests that our members want to visit him. Because if he dies, it's costly for security and stability of Nigeria. So I think the DSS in recent months has earned public respect, especially the role that DSS played in the build-up to the handover, May 29. People, I mean, a lot of us who have some information, they actually, credit the DSS with, doing a professional job. And I also want them to continue with that spirit. There's no reason why you have to disallow people from seeing him. If he's ill, even if he's not at his age, he needs constant engagement, by his physician. So I don't think it is right, I don't think it is right.
Julie, for some time now, the state of health of the IPOB leader has been a subject of debate, and you said it earlier on the show that, look, the government might be held responsible if anything happens to Nnamdi Kanu. Now, do you think the DSS, because of this safety or security, allow him access to his private doctors? Which one is better?
Well, I think that what the DSS opposes is the lawyer's demand that they should release him to go for ear surgery. Before now, they also demanded that he should be released so that he can go and get comprehensive care. The DSS does not want him released in any guise because they are not convinced that if he's released, that he will not escape. So, but let me read what his lawyer said, because the lawyer has already appealed to Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu to release him unconditionally. And he's saying, today, I respectfully urge you to direct the DSS to immediately permit Nnamdi Kanu the free will to seek independent Medicare, particularly for the ear surgery he needs as of now. So he said that he had tried everything possible to arrange for Kanu to see his private doctors, but that the DSS have frustrated every such effort. They do not want him out of their custody for surgery, for extensive Medicare. Remember that the lawyer raised an alarm that the DSS cells, that there was a breakout of tuberculosis in the DSS cell. The DSS denied that happened. I think the way how they are thinking that the lawyer wants to spirit Kanu out of detention in any guise that is possible. But as I've always said, I believe that this matter, the president is in position to negotiate with aggrieved parties in the southeast. And who is an aggrieved party that we are talking about? We are talking about Nnamdi Kanu, because a lot of the problems that we have in the southeast are actually concentrated around him. So I still believe that we can find a solution that will get Nnamdi Kanu out of detention, and that will get Nnamdi Kanu to renounce his armed struggle against his country. If that will happen, we are guaranteed that it will be followed through, and it will not there won't be any form of a backlash from taking that decision, or either of the parties refusing to honor their word. I believe that it makes no sense just keeping him there. For me, I do not see the value in keeping him perpetually in detention.
All right, we'll take this a breather. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Journalist Hangout on Sunday. We'll be right back after this time out. Please don't go away.
Every major news story is with many perspectives and layered with different levels of impact.
Hello. What time did this happen? We will be right there.
At TVC News, we follow the big and major news, gathering the facts, witnessing the outcome.
I am here live at the aftermath of the approval of the new national minimum wage.
We are TV Station of the Year, not just for breaking news, but for being first, fair and accurate. TVC News, first with breaking news.
There is always more to a story than the screaming headline. The part of a story that is not told casts a shadow. It's like the part of an object that is not reached by light. On TVC News, I'm able to explore the many angles there are to a story, talking to stakeholders, asking the difficult questions, and digging for facts. I believe the viewers are able to make a better decision if they're well informed and understand not just a part, but the complete story. TVC News, first with breaking news.
You for staying with us. It's Journalist Hangout on Sunday, and I still have Chris Kende Wandu, Wale Adeoye, and the Mesro Babajide Kolade Ositoju is in Abuja, joining us from our Abuja studio. And when you look at it, Sikian, finally on this, ultimately, do you think, like Jide said, Nnamdi Kanu will be able to renounce his armed struggle, renounce this Biafra thing, and maybe get amnesty or clemency from the new administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu? Because if he doesn't do that, nobody will want somebody that want to divide the country. Nobody will want to go into negotiation with somebody that is not yet, that is still bent in saying, a part of the country should be balkanized.
There's nothing that is cast on stone. And that's a fact. Why? We fought a civil war in Nigeria. Nigeria versus Biafra, those from the southeast. And at the end of it all, even the main actor surrendered and was able to denounce and agree to stop the war. And there was reconciliation, what we call the 3 R's then. Whether that 3R has been implemented to the latter till now is still debatable. But the fact is that, first question to ask is that some of the issues being raised by Nnamdi Kanu, are they genuine? Are they facts? Are they verifiable? Can they be addressed? If we agree that some of those fundamentals...
Don't forget that the organization elites has been proscribed.
I know, I know.
Has been described as a terrorist organization.
Let me give you a classic example. Just yesterday, you saw what happened in Russia. That's a nation. You saw what happened in Russia, where the Wagner, the leader of the Wagner team, was practically trying to overthrow the president of President Putin, quote and unquote, a mutiny. But within how many hours? There was a discussion. The president of Belarus called him and said, young man, can we just stop this? Can you just... And they agreed. There was an agreement. We don't know the terms of that agreement, but he withdrew his troops from going to Moscow. And what we're hearing now is that he is going to Belarus for some time. There is nothing that cannot be. The fact is that, have we opened the windows of opportunity for discussion? And which is what people have been saying in the past. The last government never opened that discussion at all. The government of President Buhari never saw any reason for them to even call
special rendition.
Yes,
from Kenya.
Yes, just dragging from Kenya, putting in this thing, prosecuting him. In fact, he was on bail when the military invaded his home and almost killed him, and he ran away. Now I know that this government can have a different approach. President Bola Tinubu is different from ex-President Muhammadu Buhari. So why don't you make the offer first? Why don't you call him to a discussion? Even some certain individuals, leaders in the East have said, can you just release him to us? Can we just have some kind of discussion on this? So I believe that there is nothing that is cast on. So a discussion can be open within them. Put that before him first.
instead of just assuming that he will not agree. I think that is just the way out for me. And let us see what you say.
Finally, Wale, on this.
Well, the national cohesion is a major issue that any country that wants to make progress must address. Our disagreement is the approach, using violent approach. But I think in all, we need to negotiate irrespective of who we are dealing with. Negotiation is part of democracy. Because don't forget that we had Maso, we had Onwoka, Biafran, no, there's Onwoka, yes. Biafran Zionist movement. You know, even if anything happens to Kanu, there's no guarantee that something more appalling will not happen after him. So I think we must negotiate so that we can, have a kind of a middle course that all of us will be able to have some level of peace and stability for the growth of our country.
All right. The governor of Borno State, Professor Babagana Zulum, is not a happy man. Governor Zulum has raised an alarm over renewed attacks by Boko Haram terrorists on farmers in communities within the states. In a condolence visits to 5 communities in Jere and Mafa local government areas, where 8 farmers were killed, Governor Zulum alleged sabotage of efforts of the government to restore security to the troubled states. Jide, can you please give us an update on what is happening in Borno State? For some time now, we felt that the large-scale attack on military barracks and everything would have subsided considerably. But with this attack on soft targets by Boko Haram, these Boko Haram guys, it shows that, look, they still have the capacity to wreak havoc.
Yes, of course, they can still kill our people. There's no doubt about it. They can still attack remote villages. They can even still kill soldiers using IEDs. But their capacity to engage the army in pitched battles has literally been taken away. We no longer see them marching through the streets, moving from community to community. If they try to move from community to community in large numbers, they will be spotted and Tukano will serve them justice. So they know that, and a good number of their commanders have been taken out through precision bombing by Tukano jets. So right now, they even don't have the kind of equipment that they used to have, because the equipment that they were stealing from the army. Good number of them were stolen from the army. Whenever they attack an army base, they would steal equipment and they became stronger and stronger. So these days they do not have that capacity anymore, and they can only attack farmers. In communities where the governor has relocated people as a result of the dawn of peace, these guys quietly sneak into those communities and kill people working on the farms. What they are trying to do is to ensure that people do not have the confidence to go to their farms and work. That people do not have the confidence to even relocate to communities where the governor has made up his mind to resettle people. So this is meant to just frighten the people, but we know that this is what they are capable of doing at this time. If we check, they've killed a lot of farmers, even scavengers, people looking for picking steel, picking steel from refuse dump and all that. They've killed a lot of such people, picking up iron sheets and all that. They just, if you step out of some of the IDP camps by maybe a kilometer, they can kill you, but they have lost the capacity for mass murder, like we saw previously. And these are the people that they can attack. Now, innocent farmers go into those farms, kill them. So it means that there's a lot more that government can do to protect the people. Governor Zulum set up the Agro Rangers. Agro Rangers is made up of civil defense men, hunters, civilian JTF, their duty is to protect people in the farms so that people can have the confidence to work on their fields and produce food. But if they are killing people the way they are doing, and these communities are not really far from the state capital. Mafa local government is very close to the state capital. Mona, where they also kill people, is very close to the state capital. You know? So if they can go to this extent, you can imagine what they can do to our people in distant communities far away the seat of government. So the forest rangers, the agro rangers need to be more effective, provide enough cover for our people so that they can freely work in their farms and produce food.
So we still, what we think that this new government will just come and mop up the remnant of this Boko Haram guys. I think we've had it enough since 2009, since they don't have the capacity to actually face our soldiers in battles and everything. Now we really need soldiers to come together and really get the strategy, the remnant of these guys, to bring their reign of terror to an end.
Yes, towards the end of the time of the last regime, everything seems to have come down a bit, especially within that area. But we are seeing a resurgence. And I want to believe that this is what happens when you are seeing a change of guard. But good enough, the president got it right. The new chief of army staff, General Lagbaja, is somebody that knows that terrain very, very well. Then also, the chief of defense staff also is also somebody that knows that terrain very, very well. So I'm sure that being an area that they know very well, I'm sure there's going to be some level of new strategy that has to be put in place. And don't forget that the chief of army staff has just appointed some new GSs, including the head of the military formation in Borno State. And let's see what happens in the next few days and what we'll be able to do. But it's not just about Borno only. We saw what is happening in Plateau State. The killing is going on. We also see what is going in Benue State. The killing is also going on. So let the emphasis not just be only on Borno. It's going on in Plateau State, as we are saying. It's also going on in Benue State.
Well, I think it's true that the capacity of Boko Haram has reduced drastically. But from what we are seeing, it also shows that the group is not dead. And just like you have said, I commend the current governor of Borno State. I think even though I've been to Borno only once in recent times, but we can feel the impact of, his investment in education and industrialization of the state. However, I think that two things that we need to take into consideration. The fact that the root cause of terrorism, which is lack of access to opportunities, economic opportunities. In Borno State, for instance, we have about 1.8 million children that are out of school. And if you look at areas where we have insurgency, Yobe, Zamfara, Borno, they have the lowest GDP in Nigeria. Yobe, for instance, has the lowest GDP in Nigeria. People don't have access to education. Unemployment rate in Borno State is about 43%, 43.25%. So all these things are linked together. We should not just be thinking of military solutions. We also need to know that Boko Haram continues to draw, sympathy from the large layers of unemployed people who have no access to education, who have no access to opportunity, who have no access to food. And we should also be very conscious of the crisis. We should show interest in the crisis going on, in those areas that are around Borno, especially in Sudan, where about 400,000 displaced people are now in Chad, which is very close to us. And also in Niger. Don't forget, Niger shares border with Algeria and southern part of Libya. The fall of Gaddafi, spoiled the strength of Boko Haram, because a lot of mercenaries with their guns came to start training them and giving them weapons. So what is going on in Khartoum, in Darfur, must be of interest to us. We must, spread our intelligence antenna to ensure that there is no, influx of armed rebels, rebel groups from these areas into Nigeria. So it's both a security issue and also an economic issue that I think we need to address as a country.
All right. The more Nigerians try to come to terms with the rising cost of living, It appears the more the situation escalates, the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, has described plans to increase electricity tariff from July 1st as outrageous. The Director General of MAN, Segun Ajayi-Kadir, has warned that a 40% tariff increase at this time will lead to higher production costs, lower profit margin, cripple manufacturing activities, and lower revenue remittances to government, among others. Julie, we talked about government, part of electricity being part of the sector that it's highly subsidized by the government, and that this government has let go of the subsidy in the oil sector, let go of the disparity between the what we have in the official market window and the parallel markets, and electricity is another sector that the government might be looking at. And if this is implemented, that the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria is saying that, look, this will bring untold hardship on Nigerians.
Yes, there's no doubt that Nigerians will suffer exceedingly as a result of a 40% hike in electricity tariff. But the truth is, it is inevitable because electricity, the cost of electricity is probably, in Nigeria, is probably the cheapest in the world.
Cheapest?
And for so long, yes, for so long, government had been subsidizing this sector. Government said it was privatizing the sector. It didn't completely privatize it. It held on to the transmission leg, which is the transmission company of Nigeria. It is 100% in the hand of government. And the government has 40% shares in the discos as well as the gencos. So what government has done is not full privatization, and government continue to support these people, giving them money, and people are like, you sold the companies, public companies, public corporations. Why are you still? Because the way it is now, they cannot make profits at the current tariff. The model that Nigeria has used is similar to what was used in India, because we borrowed our electricity roadmap, the electricity roadmap that Goodluck Jonathan came up with. We borrowed it from India. It's just the implementation that is not
all right,
perfect or good enough. So if these people are to come up with cost-reflective tariff, is on an incremental basis on tariff for some time until they can get to that equilibrium level where they can say, yes, the tariff at this time is actually cost reflective. We've been in a situation in which the cost of electricity production by kilowatt hour stood at 35 naira, and the discos were charging 18 naira. So how can they make money under this arrangement, and how can investors come in? There's no investor that will want to come in a regulated atmosphere like this. So the IMF and the World Bank, they've been telling us to forget about our electricity subsidy, our fuel subsidy, even the forex subsidy, because by selling the dollar to people at 460 naira to a dollar, of course, that does not reflect the true value of our currency. And then we had different rates for people going to school abroad. We have different rates for people going on pilgrimage, different rates that are not actually a reflection of the market situation. So that is what the government is trying to get away from. I said last week that a minister told me that they traveled with the vice president and they were looking for funds. And the white people that they met said, look, you don't need any fund from us, because a country that can permit multiple subsidies is not a country that is in serious need of money. So gradually, our people have to live with this reality that, look, the years of freebies, the years of these subsidies are gone. When Obasanjo came up with subsidies in those days, we actually have subsidy for sugar, for so many essential commodities. It was in response to high oil prices as a result of the war between Israel and the Arab world. We were literally subsidizing everything. Even we were subsidizing air tickets for Nigerian Airways. But we can't continue along that path anymore. The country is broke. The country will not be able to find the money to pay subsidy to these electricity producers. And we won't be able to also find money by way of subsidy for the, for the importation of PMS into our country. So, and we won't be able to find money to continue to subsidize the foreign exchange market. So that is where we are now. It's painful, but frankly, I do not see how people can continue in business when what the consumers are paying is actually not cost reflective.
Sikian, Julie has painted a global picture, but if this tariff for electricity is actually jacked up, it's going to be seriously excruciating for our people.
Why? This is not the best time to be a Nigerian. And that's a fact. This is not the best time to be a Nigerian. Under 1 month, fuel prices have been jacked up by over 300%. We are still battling with that. The electricity, we are going to have a jack up by 40%. We are talking of the dollar. The dollar is hitting almost 800. At a point, it hit up about 800 during the week, last week. There is no corresponding increase in your salary and mine. We are still where we are static. Every other thing is going up. Anyway, you cannot get a loaf of bread in Nigeria, a good loaf for less than 1,000 naira. You know that very well. Then you ask yourself, yes, we agree that this has to be done. But do you now ask yourself, where is the place of government? Don't Nigerians deserve some level of subsidy in certain aspects? Must we pay for everything? Even in the United States, that are vast countries, these are subsidized. Wheat is subsidized in the United States. That is wheat. In UK, education is subsidized. In fact, primary school education.
We subsidize education too.
What do you subsidize?
Federal University. What do you?
Which one is federal?
What's the pay? Federal University.
Have you heard of schools that have increased their school fee by about 300%? You have not heard of that? No. Oh, you've not? Wait, you will hear during the week that in fact, there's a particular university that has increased their school fee by about 300%.
Because that's the only way they can survive.
That is the issue. So what I am saying, in essence, there's no problem. We've had issues. But what I'm saying, my problem is that why are we accumulating everything at the same time? Under 1 month, Nigerians are facing practically everything that needs to be has just. So that is the challenge for me. Yes, this is a way to go. But can we find a way of pulling this thing and spreading it along so that it does not choke down on the. Now look at the transportation. Why you see, if you notice, you know that a lot of people are trekking Lagos now. And that's a fact. You know what I'm talking about. A lot of people, if you are going home in the evening, you see a lot of people standing at the bus stop begging you to give them a lift. When last did you fill your tank? We were talking here when we finished the program. Now just stop as much you can move. It's not that you are going to fill up your tank. So that is, and that itself has a spilling effect on every. House rents are going up. I'm sure you are you aware of that? House rents are going up. Every other thing is going. So what I'm looking at is, I'm looking at a situation where, apart from looking at just let us increase this, we cannot subside it. Nigerians also deserve, the essence of governance is ability to be able to look at the problem and find a solution to the problem of the people. I don't have any problem with anybody increasing it. Now, you are talking of increasing. What have we generated in the past 6 years? We remain within the same 4,000, 5,000 megawatts. That is what we've been generating. We have the GenCos, when they generate, we cannot distribute. Have we able to look at expanding the distribution aspect of it? I don't think this is the way to go. We can still find a solution to some of this problem, because at the end of it all, it's the same masses we are looking at. It's the same poor man that are looking at. Who cannot be able to, the NLC, we are supposed to go into this negotiation with the government. Now that has moved. The issue of fuel, everybody has taken, there's nothing been done about it. We are looking at palliative. I was thinking that palliative issues would have been discussed even before the issue of increment. Nothing has been done. We've increased fuel by over 300%. We are increasing electricity by over 40%. Which one is next again? And those are the basic. What I'm saying is, what is the place of government? There are certain things that government, what do we enjoy as citizens of Nigeria that are subsidized in this country now? I need to, if anybody can give me that answer, I need to know.
Well, I think with the country is in a mess. I think the country was left in a very terrible shape. How we are going to get out of this state of stupor is what I really don't know. Like my colleague has said, we are talking of fuel hike. In fact, I didn't realize it until I started buying petrol to my car. Yeah. You buy 15,000 naira. The gig you just do like this. You don't move.
It doesn't move. It doesn't move. Doesn't move an inch.
The second, third day, you are not going to Ibadan. You are not, just within Lagos.
It's gone.
It's down. Showing
yellow.
Then at the end of the week, you ask yourself, how much do I make in a week?
Exactly. That
I'm spending almost 40,000 naira to buy fuel. Imagine people who earn just about 30,000 naira in a year. Where the fuel subsidy was not removed, it was removed by the Buhari regime. Yeah. But I think that we need to be very careful not to compound the problem, because my concern is about stability, especially of the new government, and also of the life of of Nigerians, the livelihood of Nigerians. Because with 40% hike, I'm wondering how Nigerians will cope without jobs, without some are being owed. In fact, there are media houses that are also owing.
Definitely.
5-6 months.
1 year.
So, and you can imagine the number of SMEs that have collapsed, especially compounded with the CBN. We are just getting out of that CBN cash swap that destroyed so many businesses. So, but so how we are going to cope is a major concern, as far as I'm concerned. And I think that I'm not sure that we should just have this 40% increase at once. Is it not possible? Okay, you knew you are going to increase the tariff by 40%. We could have started last year, and then maybe gradually 5%.
No, they've been increasing.
I know they have been increasing. But this 40% sudden increase, even the Manufacturing Association of Nigeria said that they spent 144.5 billion on diesel in the year 2022 alone. And they are telling us that if they continue this way, with this hike, many of them will relocate to West African countries. There's going to be an increase in high cost of production. They are going to lay off a lot of workers. There's going to be low profit margin. And the product of some of these companies will be substandard because they cannot, in the desperation, to meet up with cost. So I think we need to have a kind of stakeholders meeting. And I hope that the president, who is a chartered accountant, will look for a creative way to meet all stakeholders, Manufacturing Association of Nigeria, the National Assembly, so that at least we can look for something that will cushion the impact, I mean the effect of this policy. If not, we don't need to die before we leave.
Jide, finally on this, they keep telling us to fasten our belts, and we'll continue to fasten our belts, but
they're losing their own. They're losing their own bets.
The picture we painted this night, that months ahead, days ahead, might be very, very, very tough and challenging.
Yes, it's inevitable. You see, our neighbors are hitting their heads against the wall over the removal of subsidies on petrol. The people who live in those countries, they are going to suffer as much as we are going to suffer. The truth is, government cannot subsidize everything. CKN said he wanted to know anything that is subsidized in Nigeria. When you get into the University of Ilorin or University of Lagos, the cost of accommodation for the student is extremely subsidized. And as the student steps out to get accommodation just outside the school premises, there are students who pay as much as 800,000 per year as rent. 1 million. Even in the University of Ilorin, the university community, Tanke, Pate, all of those places, if you know how much students are paying, some contractors, some developers have even deliberately built hostels for students because they know the school cannot accommodate everybody and it's costly what those students are made to pay. If education is not subsidized in Nigeria, I don't know what else is subsidized, where people will pay as little as 35,000. You know, accommodation during our own time was 90 naira in a year. 90 naira in a whole year. Accommodation for a session in the University of Ilorin. 90 naira. I didn't say 90,000. So for so long, we've been living a lie as a country. Now we have broke as a country. The only solution, if we want to continue the way we've been doing things, then things won't improve. There are alternative sources of electricity generation. Now that that bill has been signed, states can generate and sell electricity. States should take advantage of that now so that we stop relying on the national grid. There are alternative electricity generation modules that are way cheaper, way cheaper. For example, look at the University of Lagos. In the past, students would demonstrate once exams are approaching because there is no light. Rural Electrification Agency went and gave them renewable energy. Just the same way they gave Luth. Electricity at Luth now is 24 hours a day. Nothing like using telephone to do surgery. Electricity in Unilag is in abundance after REA built their renewable energy plants for them. And students were trained to operate it. Nobody mans it. It's the students that go there to do things, because they will first train those students before delivering alternative energy source for them. What we should have done over the years is to take this alternative energy module to communities and ensure that the reliance on public electricity supply, reliance on the electricity from the national grid is a thing of the past. I think that that is the way to go. And the alternative source of energy, I repeat, is cheaper than this one that we are all familiar with. So we have to think of where we are going. The taxes, the way people pay taxes in other countries, you go abroad all the time. Every opportunity when we give you leave, you go to the US, you go and spend your entire leave in the US. Many of us don't have that.
Will it still go again? When the dollar is 800 now, where are you still
You know, it will still find a way. It will still find a way to go
around it.
Now, your friends and brothers who are in the US, you know the kind of taxes that they pay. Those of them in the UK, there are some countries, some EU countries where you pay as high as 50% or more of your income as
they don't
taxes.
enjoy this kind of
In Nigeria, that doesn't happen. People switch on their electricity, they go to work, they switch it on. Even the security lights, in daytime, they switch it off and go to work. There are many things that have to change about us. We are approaching an austerity season. Let's not deceive ourselves. Because if the government doesn't embark on some of these measures, it will never find the money to be able to fix Nigeria. That is the truth. Because we left things that we should have done, we left them undone. The country was mismanaged over the years. So we now have to pay the price. I wish subsidy was not removed because I'm also suffering. But between allowing subsidy to remain so that some idiots will be making money off the rest of us and removing it and put us in a situation where we can earn more money. And when we earn more money, we are in position to build more hospitals, we are in position to build more roads. States can earn more money and be able to pay even people living wages. If I had to make that choice, I would say, okay, remove the subsidy so that this will come to us.
Okay.
So this is the thing.
All right.
There are consequences for every action.
And some of our viewers are even saying that government should cut down the cost of
governance.
Yes.
Let them show leadership. Senators, House of Reps. By the time we understand that you're also making sacrifice, we'll be happy that you are part of us.
All right, and finally, Eid-el-Kabir festival is at the corner of Muslim in Nigerians are not smiling at all just yet. Muslim faithful across the country are lamenting over the high cost of ram and other animals permissible for slaughtering during the festival. Traders attribute the price hike to cost of transportation occasioned by removal of fuel subsidy and naira devaluation, which has weakened the purchasing power of citizens. I think the ram will not flow the way it was last year. And when a survey in Abuja is saying that people are buying ram as much as 600,000, 700,000, just for ram, not cow.
Well, first of all, let me wish our Muslim brothers happy celebration in advance, and also to remind Nigerians about the unity of faith. You know, because what we are celebrating, what we are going to be celebrating in a few days, is also, though it's Islamic, but it's also a Christian tradition. It's about Abraham, when he presented his son, Isaac, to be slaughtered, and suddenly God appeared and gave him a ram. That's what Muslims are celebrating. In Islam, they call Ibrahim, and Isaac is Ismail. So it shows that we are one people, we are one religion, you know. And we as Christians, Muslims, we need to celebrate this together because it's part of the same tradition. There's no need for us to see ourselves as different people. I think that there is no way the economy will also not affect people's spirituality and faith. That is exactly what we are seeing now. I believe a lot of people will not be able to buy ram. People that used to buy in the past. You are not talking about 300,000. Something that we used to buy 60,000 naira before. And the tradition is that in Islam, when you kill the ram, you divide it into three. One is for yourself, the other one is for your family, the third one is to be given to people in need. But you see that this kind of pagan tradition created for thousands of hundreds of years will be affected just because of the economy that the economic situation we find ourselves. A ram now in some place, a very big one. They tell you 500,000 naira. The cost of buying a car in the past. So I'm wondering how people are going to cope. So if people cannot meet their spiritual need just because of the economy, it's a very serious problem. This means that your spiritual freedom is being affected by the kind of economic situation you find yourself. And in fact, there's just no shortcut because you can't get this thing free anyway. you just have to go to the market to buy. But I will just plead that for people who cannot afford it, it is not compulsory. You have to cut your coat according to your size.
Very painful indeed,
Yeah.
Sikin.
Yes. My first degree is in religion. And Islam was part of the Islamic religion, was part of my subsidiary from my first year to the fourth year. And remember what Professor Ransin and like Professor Akintola used to teach us in those days. It's not compulsory that every Muslim must kill a ram. If you can afford it, you kill it. If you cannot afford it, there are other alternatives you can also use. So let people not push themselves to the brim that, yes, you must. Because there have been instances where some people, some people will go around and not even steal just because of they want to meet up with that thing. Islam is totally against that. But it's the reality that is facing us. Meanwhile, in those days, those of us that are Christians, as young children, this is the festival we enjoy the most.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Because we'll continue. I remember I would go to my friend's place. Alaja, the mother of my friend, Kayode, who will come
get food,
from that place.
Meat, that day.
It's always we'll go to over 5, all our friends that are Muslim. We'll be moving from one point to another. As we are doing, we are collecting, we are keeping in nylon, taking meat and the rest of it. That we eat, even for over a week. But the situation has changed. So, but it's the reality we find ourselves. Is this somebody that cannot afford to buy fuel, to power his generator or even car, or to travel or move around? I'll be thinking of car. We are in serious problem. And that is why I've been saying that the government, we still have to do more. We still have to do more. We are talking of just ram. What of the rice you are going to eat? What of the condiments? If I go and ask Madam how much they sell tomatoes, if Madam comes back home and show you the tomatoes she bought for 5,000 naira, you'll be shocked. If Madam has been giving you 3 meats every day when you are eating, I'm sure Madam must have been reducing it for you, no matter whatever you look at. So that is the situation we find ourselves. But in all we do, it is not just about the meat. It is about the faith and the good to others. This is a time for collective responsibility. Whether you're a Christian, whether you're a Muslim, this time calls for prayer, serious prayer for our country. Just as the Muslims are going to Mecca and the Christians are going to Jerusalem, we should try to look at possibility, pray for Nigeria. Because in the churches, while you're a Christian, in the churches, during prayer, they say, pray. There's a point where they say, let us pray for Nigeria, let us pray for our leaders. That is what is happening in Nigerian churches now. So it is just quite unfortunate that this is how we find ourselves. But will it get better? It can get better if we do the right thing.
Part of what people do around this time is to go to their home states. Most people don't stay in Lagos. They don't stay in Abuja. They want to migrate, go to their home state to celebrate this Ileya festival with their families. And cost of transportation, apart from RAM now, cost of transportation is mind-boggling.
Yes, it is.
Bikio, are you there? I think we lost connection with Bikio. Bikio, are you there?
And when you fill the tank, along the way, you still have to buy because it will guzzle. It's a V8, so it will guzzle well. So people are going through a lot, and the cheapest, perhaps the cheapest rams that you can get are in the range of 180,000 these days. Some cost as much as 500,000, 700,000, and even 1 million. You know that the bulk of these rams are not bred in Nigeria. They are from Chad and Niger Republic. So the exchange rate plays a big part in the price of rams, because they are not. When you see Nigerian rams, our rams are not as big as the ones from those neighboring countries, from Chad and Niger Republic. And our people prefer those ones from Chad and Niger because of their size. You know, they believe that it makes sense to slaughter those ones. So, and a good number of the places where they used to breed rams in our country, insecurity has ensured that ram buyers, you know, those who buy and sell, cannot even access those places anymore because people used to take trailers, go into those communities where people breed livestock to buy rams in ample quantity. They cannot do that the way they used to do because some of those communities now are no-go areas. So that inevitably would drive up the price, coupled with the fact that the Naira, after the Naira was left to float, is another name for devaluation. After the Naira was left to float, it went to like 770 in the black market and about 757 in the importers and exporters window. So this is a situation that we have found ourselves. It's unfortunate that a good number of people won't be able to slaughter around this year. Some who have been doing it for many years, it will really pain them that it has gone out of reach this year. But I believe that our country would begin to attain prosperity again. So these difficult measures have been predicted. They've been recommended to us that, look, if we want recovery to happen, we must first go through this difficult phase. Once we go through this difficult phase, the economy will begin to do well again. Things will stabilize. In the foreign exchange market, things will stabilize. The dollar liquidity will become a thing of the past because foreign direct investment will come in once we can attain stability in that sector. They will come in. A lot of them left our country. But they will come in when they can see that there is stability and they too can plan and they can move their money out without difficulty. Right now, people can't move their dollars out. You are doing business in the country. You can't move the money, the dollars that you have made. You can't move it out of the country. Look at what is happening in the aviation sector. So we need these difficult steps that the new president is taking will ultimately lead to a better Nigeria. But we have to be patient. We have to endure. We have to bear in mind that Rome was not built in a day and that no pain, no gain. Gain will come after a season of pain. So this is my own submission on this. I wish our people, our Muslim friends, Barika da Salah. When we return to Lagos, they should keep our meat for us. We are not going to take excuses that they cannot slaughter them. We know those of them who, in spite of the difficulties, can still slaughter them. So we are waiting. They should keep our meat for us. No excuses. Don't blame Bola Tinubu for inability to slaughter. Give me my own portion of the rams. Because once I come back, I'll be knocking on your doors. It's a happy season. It's a season that we always look forward to with our Muslim friends.
Yes, sir.
Our friends Moji Jami and the rest of them.
Alaji Moji Jami.
We are saying happy Salah in advance. Yes.
Ramadan.
GKB, all of them.
Yes, we know that. Abi Baruna. We go to the house. I want to thank you, Chris Kende, Wandu, for your contribution today.
Thank you very much for having me.
I want to thank you, Wale Aduyi, for all your contribution. Nnamdi, please, when you are coming, bring those rams with you.
There are rams in Abuja too. BK, bring for us.
Don't search your bag, please. Bring for us. And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for a regular episode of Journalist Hangout by 5 p.m. You can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode tonight at 11:30 p.m. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Ozubaku. See you tomorrow, and God bless Nigeria.
Lagos is the most visited state in Africa as the 5th largest economy on the continent. Covering the state and its government is no mean feat, it's a busy beat. We go beyond the curtain of tapes to traveling far into the deep.
I want to thank the Lagos State